All right, let's go. Let's go, everybody. Get in. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What is it? It's Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday. We Panthers have a game tonight against the Canes. I have not seen what our lineup may or may not be just yet. Um, Waiting for the early reports to come out. I haven't been online, as you guys know. I made a post about things a little bit earlier. Brother Gene's father passed away last night, so it's we've been dealing. We'll just put it that way. But we're here. I didn't want to not show up, so we're here. And I don't know. I haven't seen an article from George yet. Usually he has an article out that will let us know what the lineup is going to be tonight. I haven't checked Twitter. I know, I guess yesterday, this week would have been the first week the veterans, the actual players that we expect to see on the ice have been on the ice. So it's weird because usually they start that process before the Nashville games and they don't really play all that much. Hey Kazuma, I haven't checked, but everything that's been going on since yesterday, I haven't had a chance to check on that. Trying to help Brother Gene deal with some of this stuff. There's a lot for him to deal with. So I'm trying to help him best I can. So I've been distracted with my attention over there, but I'll hopefully be able to get that this afternoon. We're not going to try to cover the game tonight because I'm not quite sure if I'm leaving or when I'm leaving. So we're still working on that right now. We're still working on, but I know for Monday everything should be good to go. It's just a matter of what's going to go on with the funeral home and how they want to run everything. So let me blow up the chat. Hey, Hungry, how you doing, bud? Hey, Silva. Yeah. I still got to get rid of the. I still got to get rid of the nest. I still got to get rid of the nest. I haven't had a chance to do a whole lot. But they're still there. They're still there waiting for me. I'm kind of lucky because it's only maybe 20 feet from the fence that we're, the inside part of the yard. So, hey, Cade, how we doing? So we're not going to try to worry about covering the game tonight. If it was a regular season game, I'd have somebody fill in, but we may not even be able to get the game right now. So we're just going to have to wing it. Hungry says Amazon dropped the trailer for season 2 of Face Off. There's some gems in there. Ooh, that's right. I never even got a chance to watch. There's so much stuff from the first cup that I never watched because I was dealing with Fluffy, and then I just couldn't watch it after he passed. I never caught up for all the stuff that came out with the first cup. It's crazy. It's crazy to say the first cup, right? Woe was us. We lose track of which years we won the cup or not. Now, I was going to have my NHL preview out on Friday. I don't think that's happening now. So Monday or Tuesday of next week. It just depends on if I have to go anywhere or how we're going to work it all. If I get a chance, I'm up to it, give it a watch. Yeah, I'm hoping tonight things will settle in a little bit more and we'll know. But I could also be on a plane, so don't know. Vincent says, if I had a choice, Jaws or the Wasps? Jaws, if he's going to finish me off quick. If he's going to finish me off quick, that would be my choice, right? But if he's just going to bite my foot off and leave me to freaking float, anybody see the movie Open Water? Not interested in that. Not interested in that movie at all. But if he's just going to do me like Alex Kittner, where he just and I'm toast, I'll pick Jaws. Death by Wasp sounds horrific. Not that Death by Shark doesn't, but unless you're going to pass out unless you're going to pass out from the wasp stings and then not wake up, that seems like a really unpleasant, unpleasant. Yeah, it's not a good way to go. Hungry, yeah, open water is based on a real story. Yeah, absolutely. If you get a chance to watch Open Water, don't say I didn't warn you. You're going to want to. There's a couple of spots in the movie you're going to want to stop the movie. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. Have I heard how Petrie and Uvis have looked? I have not. Things got hectic yesterday last night, and I just haven't had I haven't looked at anything this morning. So, but I didn't want to not show up because I know Kyle's going to be here tomorrow at noon. I know Kyle's got that. But yeah, Open Water is based on a real story. Yeah. If I had to choose Huberto for Kachuk 1-for-1 or the Wasps, I'll take the Wasps. Kate says Macaulay Culkin would know. Oh, wait, those were bees. Yeah, that sucked. Maybe I can do a Brave Wilderness style episode, title it "This is Jaws and I'm about to enter the sting zone." Oh, I don't want to have to buy I've got like sauna suits, like when you put the sauna suit on and you're trying to lose weight. I have one of those I can put on, but like when I was mowing the grass, I had my hat on, long sleeve shirt, like the only skin exposed was like my ears and my neck and a little bit of my face. Hey, Frank says, has anyone seen videos of camp or anything? I don't know if has camp been open to the public this week? I know last week it was. Because the point that I'm making, Frank, is that I would assume that the guys are there. If you're checking on Twitter and the guys haven't had any, usually David Dwart has stuff. Yeah. Craig says the Marcy Reinhardt interview was pretty cool. Yeah, I got to watch. I saw it came up in my feed, but I didn't get a chance to watch it, but it's in my queue. It's in my queue. There's been a lot of camp posts on Instagram. All right, Hungry. Thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah, there's a few people that cover them pretty well on Instagram. Hey, Bucks Rays, we're good. We're good. It was rough a little bit last night. That's both Brother Gene's parents in the course of about 2.5 years. So you can imagine, that's all he's done since. So the first year of the Cup, when we lost to Vegas, he was on the streams and engaged, and then the year we beat Edmonton the first time, he was taking care of his mom and she passed. And then this last year, he was taking care of his dad, and now she passed. So he went through with his parents kind of what I went through a little bit with the dogs and the ex-girlfriend. Obviously, parents being worse, but it's just a lot of stuff in the one part of time. So it says, I've seen nothing about the camp, unfortunately. Hoping Uvis is looking good. He needs to prove his worth after game 1 against Toronto. I mean, Uvis has been he's solid, and he has those occasional not so great games, right? I mean, he's not Dmitry Kulikov. Kulikov is just like always. You can always count on Kulikov to be in the right place at the right time. That's for sure. Who I think the worst team in the Atlantic Division is. I can't say Boston, even though they finished in last place. I would still think Buffalo. Like, I have to assume that Boston's going to be better this year. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're finishing in last place. I think last year was the most traumatic year they were going to go through, moving Marchand to the Panthers and just finally recognizing that whole core, that whole situation was done. The way it started out with Swayman and the whole, him wanting a contract and all of that. I think Boston will at least be able to be better than Buffalo this year. But the rest of the teams, I don't think so, because Detroit, Ottawa, Montreal, they're clearly better than Boston at this point. Zuma says, I find it funny how we went from a likable team to being the most hated. That's the truth. That is the truth. I always say the first 3-4 years of the channel, I'd get a lot of comments from other fans. Hey, it's cool. The Panthers got a YouTube guy. I like the Panthers. I hope you do well. I don't get those comments anymore. I do not get those comments anymore at all. Mike says, Cats beer leaguers plus Tarasov tonight versus the Hurricanes main roster and a few prospects. Gotcha. Okay. Well, it's good to see Tarasov out there, though. Craig, yeah, about the same, about a 3-year span. That's about right? Hey, Sean, you put money on the Leafs this year so we can keep the curse going? Good job. Well done. Mike says, camp has just been a bunch of beer leaguers thus far. That's why there's not a lot of attention. When I thought the guys, because Maurice said that they were going to start those guys on the ice this week. I guess it's not until after the Canes game. Have the main guys not come on? Because you're right, I haven't seen anything either. Vincent says, I thought the team may not hit the ice yet for camp, only prospect and PTOs. Okay, because when Maurice said that they were going to come on the ice this week, I think maybe I just assumed that meant Monday, but it must mean after the Canes game. So that's fine. Look, next year is going to be this way anyway. Next year is just going to be the 2 preseason games with a shortened camp and all of that anyway. So there's no need for those guys to go play in 5-6 games. Hey, Frank. Says Jack Devine and Benning look very good. Hopefully they can develop nicely. Benning needs a little work on the defense, though, which is not great considering he's a defenseman. It's not good. I know some people are hoping he gets a chance. I just don't know about his size. I just don't know about Benning's size. It's interesting that we've kept him along all this time because he just kind of reminds me of Lucas Carlson, I don't feel like they're ever going to give him a chance because of his size, but we drafted him. So, or did we draft? Yeah. Sean says, who will be the Zito pickup of the year? I don't want to make that prediction, Sean, because the only reason we would need to pick anybody up is if somebody got injured. So I don't want to make that prediction because then that would be me basically saying, unless we were going to get somebody significant on defense to put on the bottom pair, like if Petrie wasn't working out, but then I don't know where the money would come from. We're kind of rolling with the guys that we have. I don't really know what we're going to be able to do come. If everybody's healthy, we're going to have to subtract at the deadline, honestly. But I think the Red Wings make it. I don't think so. I did my standings. I don't have that laptop in here. I did do the standings for the NHL preview video. I just haven't done the video yet. Sorry, guys. My eyes are really itchy after last night. I don't think it's going to be close. The Wings, Ottawa, Montreal, those 3 teams. Ottawa and Montreal, obviously, I think a little bit better, but health is going to be the biggest deal with those guys. I mean, if something happens to Ullmark, if Montreal loses guys, I think health is going to be the biggest determining point. Yeah, for those 3 teams. I just don't think Detroit quite quite going to be ready. It's a tough division to play in, and that's part of it. They have to continuously play Florida and Toronto and Tampa and Montreal and Ottawa. Like, remember last year, Montreal just snuck in, but they did great. I had looked this up at some point. Last year, I wanted to make this point in another video, and I didn't. But let me look this up here. I want to see what the Canadiens' record against the other Atlantic teams were last year. What? What do you mean you don't have it? Oh, for freaking hell. Are you kidding me? Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get that here. I know last year I'd already looked this up, and now they're telling me that it's that information's not available. I think I must have looked it up on like Puckpedia or something. Let me see. Montreal, the point is Montreal did really, really well. Yeah, they went 18-7 against Atlantic Division opponents last year, including they didn't do great against the Leafs. They went 1-3 against the Leafs, but they beat Florida each time. And so I think in terms of somebody like Detroit, whether or not they're going to make it, they're going to have to do. Montreal only made it last year because they did so well against the other Atlantic teams. Hungry says Boston has a really bad offense problem. Who would have thought we'd be saying that 10 years ago? I know. It's true. They have not. Boston had an opportunity to take their core and extend things if they would have gotten the appropriate depth players, depth scoring. And they've just not been able to do that at all. Kazuma says the Catsman from that guy, no one pays attention to the guy women want all of a sudden, and the guys hate. Yeah, it's true. Hey, Ryan, you got your ticket for opening night? Very cool. Good job, bud. Real says not doing well in the preseason. Fires Zito and Maurice. Yeah. Okay, so thank you, Mike. Thursday is when main guys start. Well, that would explain why we haven't heard about them being on the ice yet. That makes sense. And then I don't think the next game is until Monday, right? I don't think the next preseason game is until Monday. Let me see. Schedule. Yeah, the next game isn't until Monday, and unfortunately, that's when the Dolphins-Jets game is. So, can't miss that. Can't miss the Dolphins losing to the Jets. Don says Jack Devine looks solid. I can't wait to see him in the NHL full time. Did Vilmanis get hurt? Did he get hurt? We watched him in the rookie game. I hadn't heard if he had gotten hurt or not. Vincent, not really. No. I think they just watch out of pity. Don says, I'm doing a short college presentation about the new NHL CBA rules, mainly the playoff salary cap and the double retention trades. Yeah, it's a shame about the double retention trades. I didn't see anything wrong with it. I thought that was fine. The LTIR I can understand. But if a team wants to take a third-round pick to take some salary, so who cares? Let them. Now, if teams were doing like quadruple, right? Like if one dude was getting traded to Montreal and then to Ottawa and then to Philly and then back to the Panthers and each team took 25% or whatever, I could see where that'd be a problem. But just one middleman, I still feel like the Panthers should have been able to get a middleman with the Seth Jones deal. But that's a different story. Mike says the Preds feed was hilarious on Sunday. Their announcers were butthurt about Florida icing beer leaguers. Hal Gill suggested they would get fined for not having any regulars in the lineup. Hey, Tyler Mott played in one of those games. He might make the team. Did Cunnin play? Because Mott's, even Zito, Maurice mentioned Mott as a possible Nosek replacement. But, yeah, even the Preds feed, I couldn't get it here locally, unfortunately. It sucks. Yeah, there you go, Hungry. Pickup of the year is re-signing Ekblad, Marchand, and Bennett. Yeah. Hey, Mr. Vids. I hope you're right there, Stefasi. Cunnin, we may need him. I got a feeling like Nosek hurt himself pretty bad. Real says Chucky's going to use the Olympics to get Quinn Hughes to come here. Unfortunately, there's no room. Next year, though, we could have room, right? When Bobrovsky decides he wants to play 3 more years and he doesn't care about money anymore and he just wants to win cups, and so he takes the league minimum for the last 3 years, just imagine we could get McDavid at that point and have money left over. Oh, I know it's crazy. I know it's never going to happen. Kate says, if New Jersey stays healthy this time, that's like expecting the 49ers to stay healthy, Kate. It's just some teams have the juju, right? You think Hughes is almost a lock for the Devils? How do I think the Canucks and the Jets do? Well, Jameson was on yesterday, and they're definitely happy with the goaltending. I kind of feel like the Jets won't be as good this year. Maybe the Canucks can sneak in. I was kind of thinking Calgary was going to sneak in, but then I heard Jonathan Huberdeau is back to his old tricks, cracking jokes about not caring about hockey. And I don't know. All of those Canadian teams have the same issue. Trust. Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg. You just can't trust them when the chips, and that's easy to say, right? Because none of the Canadian teams have won a cup since I was a wee little lad. Okay, says we're probably not going to get swept this time. Maybe it'll be someone else. Yeah. Dolphins dropped one of the tweets saying they'll be wearing the black unis against the Jets. Well, they should, because it'll be like a funeral. Vincent says quadruple was never a problem. That's how we used to split tangerines in school. Sharing is caring. I had a tangerine tree in my backyard when my first dog, Beezer, was alive. He was a flat-coated retriever. And we had a tangerine tree in the yard. And I'd pick a tangerine and I'd section it out, and then one section for me and one section for the dog. He'd sit there and eat tangerines with me. It was crazy. Mr. Viz says, if it was up to you, would you award 3 points for winning a game, 2 points for losing in the shootout, and 1 point for losing in overtime? Let's see. 3 points for winning a game, 2 points for losing in the shootout, and only 1 point. Interesting. Well, that's a tough one, Mr. Viz. I'd have to really think about that. The 3 points for winning, I don't mind. I'm trying to think about the motivations. 2 points for losing in the shootout and 1 point for losing in overtime. I don't know. That might make teams play for the shootout. That might that might deteriorate the level of effort in overtime. Because why would you take a risk in overtime if getting to the shootout meant you're going to get an extra point? You follow what I'm saying? I think we got a super chat. Let me scroll down here. What's that? Hey, MJ. Thank you, bud. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, buddy. He says, Happy Wednesday, Jaws. It's officially fall, I guess. Is that right? That happened fast. I saw your post. So sorry to be here about Brother Gene's dad. My deepest condolences. I lost my dad in 2007, so I can relate. Headlines in a moment. Appreciate that, MJ. Thank you, brother. Yeah. His dad was a character, man. His dad was a character. It's all I can. He was a 12-year-old. He never matured past fart jokes and talking about naked women. And that's not an insult. He would say that he would be like, "Yep, you got that right." He just never got past it. He used to love to stink up the room. Gene and I would be sitting there playing Monopoly, and his dad would literally walk into the room, sit in the chair, and just kill us. And then he'd get out and walk out of the room laughing. Here's looking at roll call. Here we go. Yeah. So I think it was 94, 93 or 94. And hey, look, he went out. I don't want to call it the easy or the lucky way, but he had his mental facilities all the way up to the end. Even when his health took a turn, he was lucid enough to tell Gene, look, get me in hospice, have everybody come over this weekend, and when they leave, it ain't going to be long. Like, he was coherent enough to tell Gene that, and that's exactly what happened. Put him in hospice, at home hospice on Friday. Everybody came to visit over the weekend. They left on Monday, and on Tuesday, that was it. Crop dusting is a lost art. It's true, Craig. MJ, yeah, man, yeah. Was he 93? Okay, yeah. I get it. I get it confused because my grandmother lived to be 96, but yeah, 93. He used to walk miles and miles and miles every day. If you know that area, we lived in Ives Estates. And he would walk out to 199th Street. We lived closer to the Broward County line than we did to Mady Ives, to Ives Dairy Road. And he would walk out all the way to Ives Dairy Road, and he would walk all the way to 441, go north to County Line Road, come all the way past California Club and all of that area, and then come back into the neighborhood. So however many miles that was, like most days, you could be out driving and you see Ernie walking. He'd be walking. Mike says, preseason glazing is spreading like the flu. Timo Zdenochera, Nikita Zadorov getting credit for stealing Chucky's quick exit celly last night. In the preseason? What? Really? In the preseason? Oh, man, that's funny. Matthew, MJ, your dad was 66. Boy, that's tough, man. That's tough. 66 is so young. You're not expecting that, you know. MJ, your grandparents were in your mid-80s. Yeah, my grandfather was 86. My mom's mom lived to be 96, and she was the one that lived the least. Her sisters lived to be over 100. So, my dad's 78. My mom is 72. Or is it? No, my dad's 79, my mom's 73. They just turned. So when my dad passes, which unfortunately with his health could, he could live another 5 years. He could not live through the day because of his heart. But when that happens, my mom's going to have 25 easy years of life after he goes. So that's going to be a challenge. That's for sure. If there's anything that could end up making me move back down to Florida, it'll be that. I'm hoping she just want to come here because I got 2 master suites. This whole room is a master suite with his own bathroom and shower and closets. I'm kind of hoping if need be, she'd move here instead of me having to go there. But you never know. Mike, yeah, no, I agree. That's a good description of it. Gross. All right, MJ. Mr. Viss says, also, before I forget, Jaws, if when you stream old games, might I suggest streaming on another site like Rumble or Odyssey? They're more relaxed with the copyright BS. All right, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind, Mr. Vids. Exactly, Mike. They hate us because they ain't us, man. It happened fast. Hey, Burned Oils. Appreciate that, bud. We're ready, man. I can't help. I don't want to give this away. I didn't pick this in my NHL season preview, which will be out next week, but I just wouldn't be shocked if it was Panthers Oilers again. Like, it could totally happen. I saw that, Hungry. Yeah. He says, you forgot to mention it yesterday. YouTube just reinstated a ton of banned accounts. So the rules have changed once again. Who knows what they are now? Yeah. Yeah. I'll chat with you about that, Hungry, because it's interesting. And that's the thing, man. It's constantly changing. I find it interesting that when those channels were being banned, if you made a video saying YouTube was banning them for political reasons, you would get demonetized and banned. And then now they're like, yeah, we were doing it for political reasons. And so it's just like, it doesn't matter like what side you're on, like whoever knows what's true when it's happening, because there's just so many times where people yell and scream that something's not happening, it's not true. And then like 5 years later, like the Richie Incognito thing, to put it into sports, it wasn't that he admitted he made the whole thing up. Jonathan Martin, the whole bully gate or whatever the hell they called it. He basically admitted that he made it up, like that there was nothing ever really happened. But the damage was done all those years to Incognito's reputation and the Dolphins and all of that. That stuff goes on so much more than we realize, and people don't hear about the second part of the story when the person says, yeah, I kind of did do that. Everybody just hears the first part where they get accused. Craig says Martin was just lazy. Yeah, Kyle told me about that. Like, I don't know, it was like a month ago, maybe more. It was over the summer. And I was surprised because I thought there would have been more of an uproar. Like, hey, this whole thing that the Dolphins got bashed for never happened. But, once something gets out there, it is what it is. Hey, MJ, thank you, brother. Thank you, MJ. Yeah, man. Sports headlines. Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald nominated for Hall of Fame. Good. David Fry hit in the face by Tariq Skubal. Skubal? The robo-umps are coming to MLB this year. I didn't see the story. I saw a blurb. I didn't click on it. But yeah. And then Nick Bosa. Bruh. So congrats, Mike Trout. 400th home run. Sister Jean retiring. Thank you, MJ. Appreciate you, brother. The Nick Bosa thing. what did San Francisco do? Like, what did they do? Because going back to McCaffrey last year, come on, we're on week. We haven't even played 4 games yet. Purdy, Kittle, Bosa, and I know Purdy's supposed to be back, but come on now. Like, what did they do? They got some kind of bad juju over there with the 49ers. That's next level. Like, it's not just like one guy. They just every week they're like, oh, we're going to take this guy away. Big, important players, too. It's my fault. I picked them to win the division. Yeah. Oh, by the way, it's also my fault Derrick Henry keeps fumbling because I drafted him in fantasy football. My bad. Mr. Vid, you're in the process of archiving your stuff on Odyssey. Exactly, Craig. The ball was only going 99 miles an hour. Jeez. So Sister Jean is the Loyola Ramblers basketball team chaplain. That's interesting. The Loyola Rambler. Is that a WNBA team? Loyola? Is there a city or a place named Loyola? Or did Talk to Text get you? I've never heard of that before. Or is that a college? She's 106. Dang. Yeah, the 49ers are hella cursed, right? Yeah, the Ravens are having a bad start too, but I didn't pick them to win. Actually, wait a minute, I did. Oh, jeez. Jeez, I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl in my season preview, didn't I? That's my bad. That's my bad. Let me see. Maybe I shouldn't pick the Panthers to win again. You see what's going on? I drafted Henry. I picked the Ravens. I said the 49ers would win the division. Maybe I should adjust my prediction for this year. I don't know. That's not good. That's not a good sign. It's not a good sign at all. Loyola is a college team. Okay. Oh, it's in Chicago. Okay. Is that the name of is there a city named Loyola? I've never heard that word before. I'm just curious. Gamergate. Yeah. Yeah, MJ, I did it. It's my bad. Who did I pick them to play, though? Eagles? Did I pick them to play the Eagles or the Lions? Interesting. Hey, Spaceman. Craig says, nah, still Kings versus Cats. If the Kings can get that far, as long as they don't have to play Edmonton, they might. Real says, I'm so pissed at the Ravens. They were my only team I thought had a shot against the Bills in the playoffs. Yeah, no. Look, Real, let the Bills win. Let them win. Let them have it. And I'll tell you why. You see how the Panthers are winning now? And how we keep having to play Tampa in the playoffs. And we're beating them because we're hungrier because they already had their time, right? So let Buffalo win now. And then 5, 7, 10, 50 years from now, when the Dolphins are finally good again and we're playing Buffalo in the playoffs, they will have won a Super Bowl or 2, and they won't be so hungry, and so we'll be able to beat them like the Panthers beat the Lightning in the playoffs. That's my theory. That's my theory. So it is what it is. Mr. Viz says you need me to pick the Pats to win more often. I picked them again this week. Hey, I picked the exact score. I got the football picks video is coming out later. I already did it. I just got to edit it. But I picked the exact score of the Eagles game, 33-26. I literally picked the exact score. But of course, if I start putting money on it, then everything would go to hell. It's a Jesuit Catholic order. Okay. There's a bunch of Loyola schools all over the country. Huh. Funny the things you don't, funny the things you learn. Thank you, MJ. There's a Loyola University, Maryland. Okay, so that's interesting. Mr. Vid says Bills still won't win the Super Bowl. Let them have it. Let them do it. Let them get it over with. Their fan base deserves it. And he says, Bills winning the Super Bowl would be the best sports story of the year, maybe even in the decade. In the NFL, sure. Sure. Let them have it at this point. I mean, maybe that'll make Stephen Ross a little bit, maybe that'll be the final nail in the coffin. Like maybe he'll be debating whether or not to get rid of Greer and start everything over. And then Buffalo wins the Super Bowl, and that puts Ross over the edge. Maybe, right? We need everything we can. Bills versus Eagles fans? I would think the Eagles fans. I would think the Eagles fans would. Mike says, yeah, I don't like that theory. I think the Bills should lose every time they go to the Super Bowl. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting soft. Maybe I'm just getting soft in my old age because the Panthers have won a couple now. And so now it's like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Buffalo. You know, maybe now since I don't have so much anger pent up inside of me because the Dolphins and Panthers had sucked all those years, maybe I'm going soft. Hungry says, I don't know why there's so much rapture talk today, but if the Bills win the Super Bowl, rapture might actually happen. That could be one of the 7 signs, right? What was that? Wasn't that a Demi Moore movie, 7 Signs? What was the name of that movie? I mean, that was peak, I guess 80s. Was it 80s or was it 90s? Demi Moore and an apocalyptic movie. The 7th Sign, 7th Seal, maybe? I don't know. I just remember Demi Moore. Mr. Vid says we should have won on Sunday, but you got to stop dropping the damn ball. Well, yeah. All right, MJ, appreciate that. Loyola Marymount, too. Huh. Exactly, Mr. Vids. If our Cats can win the Cup, anything is possible. Does the Eagles Stadium have a prison? Oh, man. I can't believe that our only question this year is, can we win 3 in a row? Like, it's just surreal. Mike says, I'd rather keep Greer than the Bills win a Super Bowl. Damn, Mike, you hard. That's hard, man. That's hardcore. I don't know. What if the Bills winning the Super Bowl is what breaks the Mercury Morris curse? What about that, Mike? What if that's part of the curse? Because he said as long as Shula was alive. Well, Shula's been dead now a little while, and nothing has changed. So there must have been some other addendum that Morris put into that curse. What if it's when Shula dies and the Bills win a Super Bowl? We could be waiting a while. Real says if the Bills lost the Super Bowl to the Eagles, they would have lost to every NFC East team. Oh, my God, that's so true. That's so true. Dopamine high, right? If the Leafs win the Cup, the rapture definitely happened. Yeah, exactly, Cade. Hey, Pacharo. Safety Gardner Johnson, should the Dolphins go after him? Secondary's actually been decent. That's the truth. Can he play corner? I know he's a safety, but can he play nickel? If he can play nickel, maybe pick him up. You know. But if he's not injured, Pacharo, Greer's not going to be interested. He's only going to pick him up if he's injured or has an injury history. If he's just healthy, Greer won't want anything to do with him. If the Bills win, the dimensional merge will happen. Yeah. Greg says maybe they need a Shula to be coach again. Whatever happened to Mike Shula? Where is he, by the way? Where the hell is he? No. I remember growing up thinking Mike Shula was eventually going to be the coach of the Dolphins. Where did he go? I bet you he's in college or something, huh? Let's see. Damn, Mike Shula is 60? Boy, it looks just like his dad. And Dave Shula, yeah. Dave and Mike, that's right. Let me see. Played college, offensive coordinator. Last thing it says here, he was the offensive coordinator for the Giants from 18 to 19. He's with the South Carolina Gamecocks right now. He's the offensive coordinator, so he's in college. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. He never got past the offensive coordinator stage. Hungry says Bills win the Super Bowl. Mariners win the World Series. The earth collapses into itself and turns into a black hole. Can the Panthers get the three-peat first, though? Can we get we need the three-peat first. CJ Gardner-Johnson is horrible for the locker room. I mean, can it get worse? Like, maybe that's what we need is another locker room cancer. Maybe that'll finally get rid of everybody. I don't know. Desperate. Mr. Viz says, what's the deal with Belichick? Dude seems to be off his rocker. I don't know why he even came back and did what he's doing. Like, I don't understand why he didn't just talk on football a little bit, have his little young girlfriend there. I don't understand why he came back to do what he's doing. Oh, Chris Shula is with the Rams defensive coordinator. Gotcha. Yeah, there's Mike, and then I guess there's also Dave Shula. I remember Mike. Dave Shula. Dave Shula is the receivers coach at Dartmouth. Yeah. He helped expand the steakhouse business, and then now he's coaching receivers at Dartmouth. Dartmouth? Interesting. All right, what we got? Hey, thank you, MJ. Thank you, brother. Thank you, MJ. All right, world headlines. Jimmy Kimmel's back on the air in some places. That's still being debated amongst people. Rip actress Claudia Cardinale. A deadly shooting at a Dallas ICE facility. French Prime Minister Macron detained by New York police. And then new warnings on Tylenol for pregnant women. Yeah, I saw a little bit about the warnings on Tylenol for pregnant women yesterday. I didn't read the whole thing because I'm not going to pretend to be a doctor. All I saw was people on Twitter blaming Trump for the warnings, and I just couldn't deal with the. I mean, it's just like I'm fairly certain if the Bills lose the Super Bowl, people would blame Trump. Like, it's just gotten to absurd levels of just like people are broken. I know Tylenol and Code Red, that was my go-to when I was a kid. Yep. I drink a Code Red with 1,500 milligrams of Tylenol. Yeah, and when I say I was a kid, like 18, 19, because I would skate and dance for, 7 to 11 was the skating. Dancing was midnight to about 3. So what is that? 10 hours, 8 hours, 5, that's 8 hours straight. And then I would take, I would have had the Code Red with the Tylenol. And so, of course, I wasn't feeling any pain. I had plenty of energy. And then I'd just go straight from the club. And it was about an hour because it was Fort Lauderdale. I live in Hallandale. So I'd go straight from the club. I'd stop at 7-Eleven on the way and get chocolate milk and donuts. But then I would just put the fishing rods in the car. And I'd be to the pier about 5:30. And then I wouldn't sleep on Saturday. And I would load up on Tylenol and Code Red, and I would not be feeling any pain, and I would be having plenty of energy, and I would do it all over again Saturday night. And I'm alive to tell that story. But I never got pregnant. So that might be what saved me, as I never got pregnant. Thank you again, MJ. Belichick fell for the crazy chick. So he was detained by the cops and had to call Trump. I mean, see, that's the kind of stuff that happens that like people are going to yell and scream about. And it's like as if any of us actually know, like that seems on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, what did he get detained for? What was, I mean, it's just, it's so surreal that it's funny. It was more of a delay. MJ says the Tylenol thing is ridiculous. Craig says Tylenol itself said pregnant women shouldn't use their stuff in 17. Gotcha. Yeah, now that I remember, MJ. I remember that the 80s there was a guy poisoning the Tylenol. Yeah. What the hell they put in cyanide? It was, I remember that. Yeah, we were kind of, because we used Tylenol a lot in the house, obviously. I remember that hardcore. Yeah. That was crazy. Mr. Vids, right? Hey, Michael, how you doing, bud? Yeah, we're getting close. We're getting close there. Yeah, the 80s and the cyanide. I haven't gotten pregnant yet. You're right, Mr. Vids. So MJ says apparently the cops didn't know who Macron was. Oh, come on now. Come on. See, when you see statements like that, you have to question everything. Like, you have to question everything when you see if that's an official story. Like, are we really? Come on. But why did they detain him? Like, what, did he not have his ID? Like, he didn't just like show up in business class without an entourage, without any security, right? I mean, like, how does that even happen? Michael says getting stationed in Washington might have to see a crack in Vancouver versus Panthers game. Fantastic. That's cool. That's cool. Mike says, when you use the word detained, being taken down to the police station is what comes to mind. He was just delayed in traffic because the Trump motorcade was coming through. Oh, those are two very different. That's funny. But you know, Mike, they'll put detained in the title of the story. See, this is a perfect illustration. This is really good because they'll put detained in the title of the story. And you see, MJ says, I didn't read that far. And then that's how the media gets us, right? Because one person reads detained, and so they think detained, right? And then the other person reads the article, and at the end of the article, it's like he wasn't really detained. He was just kind of stuck in traffic. And then people end up fighting over that all day long. That's how the media does it, man. That's wild. Yeah, there's a big difference between detained and delayed in traffic. I get a kick out of it. I can't help it. If you're old enough to have grown up without the internet, by this point, I think everybody kind of realizes the level of absurdness that we're inundated with on a daily basis. It's just crazy. Hungry. Michael, and Tua is washed. That's the smartest comment made all day. All joking aside, Tua doesn't look right. You know, concussions can affect your nervous system. That can affect your processing speed. He doesn't look like he can throw the ball as far as he used to, and he already had a weak arm. I don't know what they're going to do. MJ, yeah, no, it's a good social experiment, MJ, because they all get us, right? How many times have I said to you guys, I saw the title, but I didn't click the story, right? Because we don't have time to read every single story, right? So we see the title. the media knows that we're going to, if we read the title, most people are just going to think, oh, wow, that happened. And if you don't have time to read the story, we don't, because as normal people, we're generally honest. We read these stories we assume the media is being honest with us at the same time. So we just assume, well, if they say detained, he must have been detained. It's wild. So his motorcade was blocked for Trump's motorcade. Now that's on purpose. That's on purpose. I mean, whether you like it or not or whatever, he's clearly on purpose. Oh my God. It's like we have toddlers running the whole, it's like we have toddlers running everything, honestly. MJ says, I don't know if you saw Macron's wife, but going to submit herself to questioning because people think she's a man. No joke. I've seen headlines about that. I haven't really read the stories. I miss the days before the internet. Like when things happen, like I was in science class and I watched the space shuttle blow up on TV, whatever age I was, we were watching it and it was oh, well, that just exploded. And there was no discussion about it being a PSYOP, CGI. Nobody even thought that, like, why are they faking it? There was none of that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with questioning things, because I kind of question everything to the point where I end up believing nothing, honestly, most of the time. Because there's too many times when I've read a story and I'm like, that's not what happened, or that they're explaining it differently than everybody else. But it just seems like now, like even with the Charlie Kirk thing, like the amount of, I don't want to use the word conspiracy theories, but the amount of alternate theories about what went on and everything, it's just like, there's questioning everything you say, but now it's just gotten to a point where there's a certain section, I think on both sides, honestly, that no matter what they see or hear, their initial reaction is, how can I disprove what I'm seeing? Like, instead of like a standard agreement and then maybe information coming out later, people have now, it's kind of flipped to where everybody's in like a natural state of disagreement with what they see. Well, that can't be the case. Well, what really happened? And it's almost like you have to prove that something actually happened the way whoever says it happened. It's completely gone backwards now. Michael says he's had, according to the internet, talk about Tua, he's had 3 concussions since the 2020 draft, and he had at least 2 or 3 in college. Yeah, he doesn't look right. And I'm not saying that to pick on Tua, because I've always been a let's wait and see on him. But he's clearly regressed in his physical ability. And you can see it when he's in the pocket. When he's moving around, he's definitely playing to not get hit. Kazuma says, fun fact, Macron married his high school teacher and they hooked up when he was 15, since in France, that's the legal age of consent. That's wild, man. She submitted photographic evidence of her gender, which has to be one of the most insane lines I've ever. Oh, wow. That's wild. That the things that we really don't like. When I was growing up, guys, for those of you who are in your teens and 20s, it never crossed my mind to even worry about what the gender of the leader of France, his wife was, or husband. Like, those things they weren't in our, it wasn't in our concern, generally speaking, what if I was in sixth grade? What was I thinking about in sixth grade? I don't know. Girls and fishing and judo. And then the Dolphins. Like so much stuff just never came to our mind. That's wild. MJ, yeah, the Challenger incident will be 40 years old next year. Yeah. Michael says, sum it up. People think she's a man. She's been seen with a bulge in dresses and sits and walks like a man and has no biological kids in my corner, which is weird for world leaders. Huh. Pics of her. It's crazy, right? Kristen McAuliffe. Yeah. Yeah, I used to sell a lot of Kristen McAuliffe stuff on eBay. Yeah, Hungry. We were watching it, man. It was quiet. It was really quiet. Like we were just watching it, and we were kids, and we're like, all right, we got to watch the shuttle. Like nothing had happened up to that point, so we were just like, this is, it was like watching a movie, and when it exploded, like you could hear a pin drop. Like, because I think it took us all a solid 5 seconds to kind of be like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Like it took us a few seconds as a collective, as a class, to realize what had just happened. It got dead silent. And you're talking about, I was in seventh grade. I believe I was in seventh grade, Mr. Kennedy's science class. I believe that's where I was. Mike says, I miss the days when the media was only somewhat biased in one direction or the other, but still basically let you make your own decisions by just reporting the news. Just tell us what happened. Yeah, you can't. It's hard to find that anymore now. Exactly, Craig. Hey, thank you, MJ. Thank you, bud. Thank you, MJ. This will be a good question. He says, Jaws, you got me going here. Did we land on the moon or is it a hoax? Who shot JFK and what happened to Amelia Earhart? So the thing with the moon, so I sell a lot of NASA stuff. And I think from like 2010 to 11 and then to 12, I was at least in the top 3, if not the biggest NASA dealer on eBay. And what's interesting is during those years, I never heard anything about it being fake. I never had anybody email me, how can you sell this fake stuff? I didn't see any of that, really. It's only been in the last, 10 years, 5 years, really. A lot of stuff since COVID is just like everybody's just like questioning everything now. To be honest with you, MJ, what makes me lean yes is my uncle worked for NASA. He was a literal rocket scientist for NASA. So I don't know how they would have kept that quiet, but then I know people have shown the videos and there's supposed evidence and all of that, and I can't answer for all of that and why we haven't gotten back. It seems counterintuitive why we stopped going and all of that. I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't go, but I haven't, in my opinion, seen like definitive proof that we didn't. And so that's a tough one. Now, in terms of JFK, I don't care what the files say. I don't think it matters who pulled the trigger, right? I don't think it was just Oswald by himself. You know what I mean? It was too abnormal of a situation where he's turning and he's waving and they slow down, and there's too much stuff there for that not to have been at least people working together. Amelia Earhart was probably abducted by aliens. I don't know much about the Earhart thing. That's one I don't know about. Thank you again, MJ. Yeah, exactly, MJ, right? Mike says, I thought the Amelia Earhart story was put to rest a couple years ago when they found some of her remains or maybe some of her personal possessions on one of the islands somewhere. I thought I heard something like, again, that's something like I saw a headline. I didn't read the story. I mean, that would pretty much solve it, right? Flat or hollow herb. Michael says, as a service member, I've seen some messed up stuff. The airman lighting himself on fire, the drone footage of Russian-Ukraine war, ISIS beheading, and I'm sure some people have seen Reddit videos too. Yeah. But when it happens to U.S., an innocent U.S. citizen in the U.S., it was really hard to watch, referring to the Kirk shooting. Yeah. Um, I was driving home. I had to take Donna's car for the oil change. And then I drove her car back to where she worked and picked up my van so that, she didn't have to drive my van. And I have talk radio on in the van, but I might listen to 5 minutes a day on the way to the post office and back. And they were talking about Charlie Kirk, not quite in the past tense. I didn't know what the hell had happened. And I went to Twitter and they were saying maybe he's stable, et cetera, et cetera. And then I saw the video and I'm like, yeah, no, he ain't living through this. He's not stable. Like he's gone. Like as soon as he got shot, he was so it's been different. It's changed a lot of people's minds about certain things. And I know personally a lot of people that didn't really know much about him and then started watching his stuff now because of it. It's one of those moments, you know what I mean? 9/11 space shuttle. It's one of those moments that regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, you're gonna remember where you were, you know. Hey, thank you, MJ. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, MJ. All right. He says, here's a question of the day. Which sports conspiracy theory stands out most for you? I'll go first. The Rams beating the Bengals in the Super Bowl because it was a game that was hosted in LA. What if the power outage? What was that? Which two teams was that? Was that Ravens and 49ers? Who was that? I forget. The power outage. Something funky went on with that power outage. MJ, yeah, he was a literal rocket scientist. And my dad was a printer. So you can imagine how grandma might have favored one brother over the other. It got ugly. Jimmy Hoffa being buried at the 50-yard line, right? Yeah, MJ, the whole back and to the left theory. I can only imagine. Well, I guess I can't imagine because it's kind of like with Kirk. I was going to say I can't imagine if JFK was assassinated now, how the analysis of that video would have gone. But I've seen some videos, people with the Kirk thing, and there's somebody behind. They think there's somebody behind them that might have had one of these like 3D printed guns or something. You know, I've seen some things that, you know, you can prove a lot of things with film that didn't happen because film is there. So you can write a story any which way you want. I still don't know if the official story is that he wasn't wearing body armor and the shot hit him in the neck, or if I've seen a lot of people think that the shot got him in body armor, a chest plate, and then went up that way. I mean, that's not like a conspiracy or anything like that, but I haven't heard anything. I've heard people say he wasn't, and I've seen people showing that he clearly was. So who knows? Yeah, Earhart vanished into the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah. Yeah, MJ, the Kirk conspiracy theory. I haven't watched a whole lot of them, but I've seen a couple. And it just makes you think, right? Yeah, the funeral when his wife, that was just I could only watch a clip here or there. That's too much for me. I get too emotional with that stuff. It hits too close to home. I don't know why. I wasn't I didn't like I saw his stuff, but I wouldn't say I followed him. I don't think I watched any more of his stuff than anybody else's. I watched the beginning of it, and if I felt interested in the topic, I might watch the whole video. But if I wasn't, I wouldn't. But it just something about him being so young and the wife and the kids and all of that. I think that just hit too close to home for me. I couldn't watch. Oh, okay. So you knew about Kirk because of Megyn Kelly. Yeah. Yeah, there you go, MJ. Niners and Ravens in 13. Yeah. Yeah, that was funky, man. That power outage. I don't know what they did. Some kind of voodoo ritual, but yeah. Harbaugh versus Harbaugh, right? Hey, chucking around. How we doing, man? Yeah, we need some aliens talk to even the stream now, right? You were at the JFK assassination site in Dallas. That's heavy. The book depository is a museum now. Spot where Lee Harvey Oswald allegedly has been sealed off and is in the original condition from 60 years ago. Damn. You know? Yeah, his wife definitely gave. It was definitely emotional. There's no doubt. Colin, no, we're not streaming the game tonight. I'm not 100% for sure what's going on with Brother Gene. I may be getting on a plane to go to a funeral. We're still in the process of figuring all that out. So for being that it's a preseason game and our guys aren't really playing, I'm not going to worry about it right now because I'm sure this afternoon there's going to be a lot of conversation. I'm helping him with some phone calls too. You know, there's a lot of mutual friends and mutual people that are trying to get in contact with him. So I'm kind of running a little bit of interference that way so he's not overwhelmed with things. So I won't be here tomorrow. Kyle will be here at noon. And we'll just go from there. But regardless, Monday I should be back to normal, good to go. Craig, yeah, I got kids near his age. That's a good point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kirk was from Wheeling, which is a suburb of Chicago. Not far from where he used to live. Yeah. Yeah, I believe aliens exist, but I don't want to ever meet them. We fall in the same category. There's an X on the street where the bullet hit JFK. That's wild, man. There you go. I like Mike's idea. For me, the biggest sports debacle was allowing the Bonds and McGuire home run records to stand, right? Now, we don't need a conspiracy for that, right? Just out of the blue, this 1 year, these dudes just were hitting 500 home runs, and then things went back to normal again. That was funky. Yeah. Good call, Mike. Yeah, MJ. Appreciate that. Yeah, they found water on Mars suggesting there's life. Just don't bring the internet to Mars. MJ, as far as I can see, Babe Ruth called the shot. But I kind of look at the Babe Ruth calling his shot thing in the same kind of category as when I called the Kachuk trade. Like, I was talking hockey, I was talking trade. Yeah, I got the trade right, but I was on the subject. It was on the subject. So like Ruth calling the shot, it's like, it's cool that you called it, but you were still talking baseball. You know what I mean? It was like, I'm trying to think of an analogy, like it's impressive, but I don't know. It's hard to put it into words. Yeah, don't bring the internet to Mars. It'll ruin the damn place. If the life will lose its intelligence. If there is life on Mars, you bring the internet over there and just forget about any intelligence, right? Mike, that's a good point. I was on drugs when I made, well, we'll call it steroids. I like your idea better. Yeah, I was medicated when I made that prediction. That's true. That's true. That's the last time I took any oxycodone, too. That scared the hell out of me. I only take it when it's the worst migraine. When I get to about day 2, I take as much Tylenol as I can take. And if that ever doesn't work, but I haven't had any since that day. I haven't had any oxycodone since that day. But boy, is what it is, man. Yeah, there's no way we're going to colonize Mars. You never know, MJ, right? A lot of the players were on roids, yeah. Hungry, right? Yeah. I almost parlayed that into something even better because I was so confident. Remember, that was Maurice's first year. So I was so confident from the Kachuk thing that in my season preview, I said the Panthers are going to start slow, get better as they go, and win the cup. And damn it, I almost called that too because they started slow. They just got in, and then they made it to the finals. And I remember I was like thinking, is this going to happen again? But no, not meant to be. Not meant to be. It's okay, though. We got 2 since then. Craig says, 1 episode of Jerry Springer and society begins to spiral. That's the truth, man. Yeah, Canseco and McGuire. Geez, those 2 guys. What a weird time. Hey, David, how you doing, bud? If I can keep one sport and one has to go out of these 2, which one? Oh, football. You keep hockey. Football is barely even a sport anymore as it is. Football at this point is just gambling disguised as entertainment. Yeah, you got to keep hockey for sure. Kachukin. So the thought process, well, what Maurice said was that you're either most likely got Cunnin at 4C, but they also have Tyler Mott on a PTO. So one of those 2 is going to start at 4C, I would assume. And in terms of the moves, what do we got? We got 4.5 of LDO. We're going to have to make a move when Chucky comes back. So we're not, where are we? Where are we? Let's look at that here. Come on, bring it up, huh? There we go. So yeah, the deadline is negative 4.5 right now, but I don't think they have. I'm looking at Puckpedia, but they don't have. Do they have Kachuk on LTIR yet? It doesn't. It's weird how it's. Yeah, they've got things. It's hard to read this on Puckpedia because I don't know if they're showing negative 4.5. That's when Chucky comes back, when negative 4.5. But they haven't. I don't know that they've accounted for the new rules yet because they're not showing us what we have right now with Kachuk and Nosic's the cap credit that we would get. But in terms of when Chucky comes back, if we're at that 4.5, I mean, it's simply Rodriguez and Boquist unless something else happens. Hey, thank you, MJ. One more. Thank you, brother. Thank you, MJ. So he says one more. Prior to the Panthers winning their first cup, what would I call their curse? The curse of Wayne Huizenga? Huh. Had to think about that. The Marlins won the year after the Panthers lost to the Avalanche, right? It was the very next season. And then Huizenga did that fire sale. And maybe the Panthers the karma that Huizenga got from fire sailing that first Marlins team rubbed off on the Panthers. I think I would agree with you, the curse of Huizenga, the fire sale curse. We'll call it the fire sale curse. Because maybe that's what happened. It makes sense. Yeah, the curse of mediocre ownership, right? Yeah, the problem with Puckpedia, it doesn't show the LTIR pool in the offseason. Chucky gets his 3.0, 8, Nosek gets his 1. But right now, not everyone has a contract yet. Right. Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to figure it out. Hey, Pente. What do I think that the NHL didn't step up and cancel Marchand's 6-year deal? I think he's going to play. I think he's going to play out. I mean, let's put it this way. I would not be the one that would I would not be the one that would count Marchand out. He could always play in the fourth line. You know what I mean? He could always play in the fourth line. So you figure if he's got at least 2 to maybe 3 years left as a viable third line guy, like how old's Corey Perry? You know what I mean? How old is Corey Perry? How old is Corey Perry? Let's see. Let's see. Perry is 40, right? So you look at Perry. He's making now. Of course, he's making minimum, right? He's making minimum. But, oh, come on. I don't want to sign up for Kings tickets. But last year, I mean, he still played 81 games and had 19 goals and 11 assists. I mean, that's a viable dude, right? Time on ice was 11:56. So I honestly kind of feel like even if the league was going to look at that, I think that's what the Panthers would have pointed to. They would say, you got Corey Perry out there in the Stanley Cup Finals. He had 19 goals last year. Was that 82 games? Did he play every game? 81 games. So I would think that they would be able to make the argument to the NHL that, like, how can you cancel the guy? How can you tell us Marchand can't play till 43 if Corey Perry's out there at 40 playing 81 games and getting 19 goals? Like, that's way better than what Yager was doing, I believe. What was Yager's? Remember, Yager's my age. And when he was playing with us, I mean, and so I guess that's the point is that while I understand, I get what you're saying about, yeah, Yager's a year younger than me. He's 53, right? And so when he was playing for the Panthers, um, 82 games, 16 goals. The year before, 79 games, 27 goals. And he was 43. You know what I mean? He was 43. So I mean, I don't understand. I mean, there's precedent. Yeah, no, Petty. I mean, I see both sides. I understand what you're saying, but I also there's guys that you can point to that have played well at that age. Excuse me. And Yager wasn't even in the fourth line. He was in the top line most of the time at that age. So to me, I kind of, when I saw the Marchand contract, my thought was that at some point we might end up with a fourth line of like Bennett, Tkachuk, and Marchand, and younger guys will have moved up. I mean, I know that sounds obnoxious. It's a bit of a stretch, but I just don't think that there would be enough for the NHL to actually, like if he had signed a 6-year contract and it was going to take him to 53, then I think, but for the NHL to go to cancel the contract, I mean, there's precedent of guys playing that far and playing well. And so I just don't see how the NHL would be able to say, well, Marchand won't be able to do it. So, yeah, I think what Mike is saying, I get what you're saying, but I just don't think there's enough for the league to step in. So, all right, everybody, I got to roll. Kyle will be here tomorrow at noon, and then I'll keep you posted on what's going on, if I have to leave or not. I got to get with Brother Gene this afternoon. We got a lot to tend to. And so Kyle will be here tomorrow at noon, and then I should be here Friday, but I'll let you guys know right now. That's what's up in the air. So appreciate all of the love and support. Much, much, much appreciated. Thank you for all the super chats. And Kyle, we'll see you mañana, and I will see you hopefully on Friday.